Have you ever wondered what life would be like living your Viking best life, surrounded by shields, axes, swords, and longboats? Are you interested in the formation of various iterations of the Kalmar Empire, of which, of course, the Orkney Islands were once a part of? Are you a Thor, the god of thunder, or more of a Freya? What will you do when Ragnarok comes, the final battle between the gods, demons, and giants, ending in the death of gods and ultimately the end of the world? If you are looking for questions like this to be answered, my dear friends, you're in the right place, because we have Mr. Martin Markvardson of the fabulous Highland Park Distillery here with us today.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Martin, great to have you here. And Daz, can I just say that was a really nice introduction, man. You took me on a nice journey there. I was with you all the way.
I felt at home. So yeah.
I think I saw a little tear come down Martin's eye there when you were talking about it.
It's like going back in time, Martin. Like going back in time, you know.
Yeah. So you see, where I live, we don't have cars. We do have longboats still. So there.
Company longboats.
Yeah.
Brilliant. But Martin, great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. We really appreciate it. And hot off the press, from your big win as Icons of Whisky, Scotch Whisky Ambassador of the Year 2022. Not the first time you've won it. You're the first person to win it twice as well, man. How does that feel?
It feels great. It's always good to be recognized for something you do. I won it in 2018 and was not there to get the award because I was in Singapore and the event was in London. And then I won the regional one last year for Scotland, and again couldn't be there because they closed down UK because of COVID. And I thought, well, now I'm going to London, and now I'm there, I probably won't get it. But they called up my name and went on stage and got the award, which is fantastic. So it's been a good year. Got mastered in October as well, so master of the Quake as well, and then now this. Must be doing something right, and the next one will be Hall of Fame, and then it's time for you to retire. So
you're not there yet.
No, I'm not there yet.
No.
I think I'll continue as long as I can, and I think I'm just like you guys. When you do something where your passion is, there's no stepping back, because you love what you're doing, and honestly, I can't see myself doing anything else right now. A lot of things that will come out, lots of plans. So yeah, it's good. It's good to be involved still as much as I am.
Right, mate. Well, we're going to get some of those plans out of you. Hopefully you'll have a few drams and then tell us some of the plans that Highland Park are going to do.
I do.
We've got, Martin, we've got a way of doing that on this show. We get ambassadors on, we get them drunk, and then they tell us all the brand plans for the future for the brand. So yeah.
Oh yeah. I look forward to hear your brand plans then.
So good embargo busters. Yeah.
Before we get into this, let's talk about what we are actually drinking. So Martin, in your honor, mate, I've got a wee bottle of this.
Fantastic. That's a really nice dram. Yeah.
A little bit. Sorry, no one can actually see what I'm holding up, which is the Highland Park Dark Origins, which I think, Daz, you were involved in that as well, right?
Well, yeah, Martin and I remember
Yeah.
going to the sample room with Max at the time.
Exactly, yeah. And we actually launched it together as well. So that was a great launch as well. You remember that when we did the Highland Park Dark Origins expedition from Gothenburg to Kirkwall over the North Sea, and it was just crazy. We decided to do the kind of the voyage of the Vikings back in the days, and we headed out with a fantastic ship from Gothenburg, a boat which was fast and huge, were the press boat for America's Cup, and we went out, sailed towards Kirkwall in the morning, and nice weather, was raining a little bit, and as we got towards the North Sea and the south part of Norway, the wind really came in and became worse and worse, and then suddenly all hell broke loose, and it was just unbelievable. It went crazy, and we got a call from the Coast Guard in Norway saying you better seek for land because it's going to be crazy out there. But we all decided, nah, it can't be that bad. So we continued, and then they called and said, you are now entering the worst weather in North Sea for 12 years. And we lost our emergency equipment. There were helicopters out looking for us and everything. And a trip that normally would have taken 2.5-3 days took us 4.5 days. And
I was waiting for you in Orkney.
Yeah, you're waiting for us in Kirkwood, yeah.
And amazingly, despite the fact that all your emergency stuff had broken, I still got your SOS text message, and it was, Daryl, can you please get me a new pair of jeans?
I think that's such a cool thing about being an ambassador. You get all these incredible experiences, right? It's like money can't buy experiences. So Martin, I see there's a load of Highland Park behind you as we do this interview. So what does the Highland Park Ambassador drink? What are you having a dram of tonight?
Well, right now I'm having the, well, again, people can't see it, but I'm having the new 15-year-old, which I truly enjoy. And it's not because it's new. It's just, in my opinion, it's a masterpiece from Goran Motion. A little bit different than the old 15-year-old we had some years back, which we discontinued in 2016. This is 44%, much more American oak driven, and like Das as well. I'm not sure about you, but Das and I, we always had a passion for American oak, and especially if it's American oak sherry cask, that gives us these nutty, kind of tropical fruity flavors, and the 15-year-old have that. So right now, that's my my dram, which I enjoy quite a lot, actually. Probably one of the best I've ever tried would have been the Bicentenary 21-year-old, which we launched in 1998 for the 200 years anniversary. That's probably the best Highland Park I've tasted. Besides, of course, they had the 50-year-old, which is
there's a lot of people say that about the Bicentenary.
Yeah.
You know, people that have known Highland Park very well, they've been around the distillery and things, they often say the Bicentenary. The other one was the 1973 vintages that was around, which a lot of people talked about because it had that lovely tropical fruity kind of character in it, which was brilliant.
We did a lot, and still today when we try some of the casks from the 70s, we have the 1978 as well for travel retail that came out. Same thing, very fruity, tropical, a little bit nutty. Coconut came out. All these kind of flavors, and I like this American oak influence, which makes the whiskey a little bit lighter on the flavors, and for me, probably sometimes a little bit more all-rounded, and especially when we're hopefully going through some of the warmer days, I think that suits me even better. So yeah.
Mitch, you'd always said to me when we worked together at Diageo, Highland Park 18 was always in your top 3 back then. And that really stuck in my head, you know, and I was like, if Mitch rates it, maybe I'll make my career choices based on Mitch's opinion. And I've regretted that ever since, basically.
Man, I thought you were going to pay me a compliment there, but obviously...
I was thinking about it. I did think about it.
You had to turn it around, didn't you? You had to turn it around last minute.
What are you drinking, Das, tonight?
I'm on a Highland Park as well, mate. I'm on Dragon Legend.
Yeah, oh, I love that as well.
Do you know, I think that is, of the Highland Parks I've tried that were launched in the last sort of 5 or 6 years or so, it's one I'll go back to regularly and think, it's really lovely. And it's red wine cask, right?
Sorry?
Is it a Rioja cask?
No, that was Twisted Tattoo.
That was Twisted Tattoo, right?
Yeah,
right.
Dragon Lichen is it actually it's not too far away from Dark Origins. The one of the things that separated is we use some of the heavily peated malt in Dragon Legend. So as you know, every year we are producing some heavily peated malt where we don't mix it with the unpeated malt. And some of the cask we have maturing with the heavily peated malt have been used in Dragon Legend to increase some of the smoky flavor. It's not a lot, but it's still there, and you can definitely feel it, and makes it, in my opinion, extremely complex and at the same time very, very balanced. The cask strength series we're now launching, where we have the batch 1 and 2 out, release 1 and 2. That's a non-age statement as well, but it sells good because now the strengths kind of follow it. So when the strength is there, people don't care about the age. Now it's strong. They go out. They can drink it as they prefer, at the strength they find it's suitable at. So I think we do quite a lot of good things.
You were at Icons of Whisky. You're back in Denmark at the moment.
I had some tastings in London to begin with, where I did some tastings for the London team, our sales team there, and so on, and then did some training for Barry Brothers in London as well. What a great place it is!
Nice
Absolutely
shot,
amazing.
In the vaults,
unbelievable. Then I went to Glasgow and did a whiskey dinner. Just passed by Potstill to train the staff there, but went to Brett's in Glasgow at Great Western Road, and did a food pairing with barbecue, grill, and Highland Park, and it was fully sold out and was simply amazing. And I think that's one of the new things. That's the food pairing, which I've been working with for a long time because I did it already back in my days at Craigellachie Hotel in Speyside. Where one of the jobs I did there were find food and whiskey that went well, and that at that time, I was just a wee boy like you, Das. But then,
I'm sure you've ever been wee, Martin.
No, well, not really wee, but I was thinner. Let me put it this way, and working at Craigellachie Hotel, where I had, not everyone, but I had access to all the food with the chef and tried all this great food we made there. I gained a few pounds working there over the 2 years, so that was great. That was great.
Yeah.
All the haggis, mate. All the haggis.
The haggis, all the beef, all the deep fried Mars bar from DJ Chitters in Dufton, all that in one.
That's one of the things, Martin, isn't it? I think a lot of people, you go to whiskey shows and you go out to these events, the dinners that you've been hosting and things, and people always ask you, how did you become the Highland Park Ambassador?
Yeah.
So you were at the Craigellachie. How did you get into that position at Highland Park? How did it kind of all come to be?
Yeah, well, to make a very, very long story very short, I did my service in the Danish Navy, and I was in the military police for almost 12 years, and always had an interest for Scotland. Probably through my dad back in the days that told the stories about kills and bagpipes and castles and battlefields and all these kind of things. He never told me about whiskey because my father never drinks. But I was on an exercise in Scotland, and we had 1 day off during the 2 weeks we were there, and all my colleagues went pub crawling. I rented a car and I wanted to go out and see what Scotland was all about, especially in the lowlands where we were in Edinburgh and the surroundings there. And the thing is, when you drive around Scotland, at one point you stumble over a distillery, and I went in, and I think after 5 minutes I was completely sold. Everything they told me were just like I imagined everything would be. They were so proud about the product they produced, about everyone talked about their own whiskey. It's my whiskey, because they were so proud of this product. And it fascinated me. But, we are now talking 34 years ago. And I know I'm old, but 34 years ago. But I came back to Denmark, and I think in Denmark at that time, there might have been 2 whiskey books. One written by a Dane, which had all kind of other spirits in. And then there was one of the first books by Michael Jackson, I think, at that time. I read the books, and if I wanted to know more, the only way were to go back to Scotland. We didn't have internet like we do today and these kind of things. So every time I could have a week off from the military, I spent it in Scotland, learned about whiskey production, knocked the doors. And at that time, health and safety was, people didn't care as long as you could work for free. And I did. And that was kind of the way I got my hands into it. And then eventually in Denmark, I could start working with it. We're one of the first to do whiskey tastings, mainly for wine clubs. And then one day took the other, and suddenly they asked me at the World of Whiskies in Copenhagen Airport, do you want to be part of our team here? And do you want to be the shop manager later? And so on. And I did that. So suddenly I started working with it full time. I opened up a few shops in Copenhagen, Whiskey House, Whiskey Corner, all these kind of things. And then one day a call came in from the guys at Craigavik Hotel. There was a few Danes that owned it. Said, well, Martin, would it be you to come over here and run the bar and buy in all these fantastic whiskies we have and do all the tastings for us? And I said yes, and then I moved to Speyside and had some fantastic years there. And it was during that time that I did a few tastings for some guys at that time Maxium, which I had no idea were from Maxium, but happily enough, I every time I mentioned Highland Park 18 as my favorite whiskey, which then one day result in a call from, the guy Stuart McRae, and Stuart said, do you want to come and work for us and be the ambassador for Macallan and Highland Park? And I remember it, very, very clearly. We never talked about salary or when to start. My only question for Stuart at that time was, can I work with Highland Park 18? And
how much can I get?
yeah. And Stuart said yes, and that was kind of it. And then I began as Nordic ambassador for the Edrington portfolio, and then when you kind of left Highland Park back in the days, I took over your position as global brand ambassador, and has been such an amazing journey.
Martin, did I not read something as well about you being the Danish boxing champion at one point as well?
Yeah, that's true. I won the Danish boxing champion twice, and then I had quite a lot of international fights as well, and so on. And today I'm part of running a boxing club, a new one we started up during COVID, which was quite I would call us quite brave to start up something during COVID, but we managed, and it's a good success. So as much as I can spend my time over there training the young guys there and girls, that's kind of where my mind is on something else.
Must be handy for tastings as well, right? Anyone gives you any shit and you just knock them out. Perfect.
Yeah, no. But yeah, well, I don't know if there's always been a certain respect, but I think when it comes to some of the things I took with me from the boxing is the discipline about, Daz knows that as well. I rarely go out drinking when I travel and work. I've done it a few times with Daryl, but I really rarely do that because it's something where I think I have too much respect for the brand and for my work. So I kind of keep that distance.
The reality is, Martin, it's the only way you can do it for as long as you've done it as well. That's the thing. It's not, you can't do that for as long as you have without, turning it in at the right times and things like that.
And I think there's one major thing as well. There will always be, and you know that yourself because we have talked about it so many times. There's always things you can learn. So if you suddenly just sit back and think, "No, I'm the expert. I'm the king of whiskey, and I can, no one can beat me. I know everything." you'll be disappointed, because there will be guys out there who knows more than you. So,
yeah, and there's a couple of people that really instilled that. We actually had Ian Miller on a few weeks ago, who's fabulous, and he really has that kind of mindset, despite the fact he's run 20 odd distilleries. Spent his whole life working in whiskey. He still believes, he can learn something from everybody. And he's got that brilliant kind of mindset. And we're going to come on to another one. And there's a couple of people that have really shaped Highland Park, and you've obviously been a massive part of that. Jerry Tosh, another icon of whiskey, global ambassador
fantastic.
of the year. I was a former global ambassador at Highland Park. Never won the award. I was nominated once, and I didn't even know. I was. so I never went. I didn't find out until after the event. And of course, Jason Craig was a big part of Highland Park, and he had a small gap of a few years where he went away and worked on the Cutty Sark blended brand, and then he came back to Highland Park. But he'd had a huge impact on the direction and a lot of the products and things like that. And it's terrible news. I know you were very, very close to him, but sadly we lost him, didn't we, just a few weeks ago? And it was a massive loss, not just to Highland Park, but to whiskey,
Oh, Jason passed away end of February, and I don't think, to be honest, that Highland Park would have been where we are today if it wasn't for Jason. I think he was bleeding Highland Park as well. If you just like me, I've known him for 17 years, and I should say we became extremely close friends. We had our meetings where we didn't talk work. We talked family, we talked music, we talked sports. Jason was a huge Bruce Springsteen fan, and so am I. So for me, he was the boss, and I was the big man, which he referred to as the saxophone player in the E Street Band. He's so missed. I don't think everything will be the same again, or anything will be the same. But we do have a great team that have been working with Jason for a long time, so they kind of know where we can go with the brand and follow the footsteps as best as we can from for Jason. But it's a massive loss, and he's missed every single day.
I was thinking about this today before the show, and I was like, well, what are my Highland Park kind of moments? And then I remembered I had a massive Highland Park moment in my Scotch whiskey career, actually starting my career. So going back to, I want to say this is like 94, maybe 95. I go on this tour, these tours that you get in Scotland, right? You jump on a coach and you go up to the Highlands and you're with a group of people, and we stopped somewhere very stereotypical. I think it was like the Bank of Loch Ness or something like that, right? And the tour guide jumps out, and I'll never forget this. He brings out, he's like, right, come on, we're at Loch Ness. We're going to have to drink some whiskey. He brings out a bottle of Highland Park. And this is going back to what we talked about earlier on. This is why Highland Park is always stuck in my mind. Brings out a bottle of Highland Park. And I remember absolutely shit myself. I wasn't really into whiskey at the time. I was just like, no, I'm going to hate this. But that was my very, very first moment where this is pre-COVID times, right? We're literally swigging out the bottle around the loch. And I still remember to this day, having that first swig of Highland Park and going, holy shit, I really enjoy this. This is my moment, you know what I mean? So Highland Park has got a very kind of special place for me within my whiskey journey. Martin, we talked a little bit earlier on about kind of where the brand's going and what's going on. What's coming up with Highland Park? Have you got anything that you can share with us? Interesting expressions or interesting things that you guys are playing about with?
Yeah, well, there's quite a few things. We decided not to do any special editions for a while. Pre-COVID, we had quite a few coming out. Dark and Light, Twisted Tattoo, Ice and Fire. They came very, very quickly, and shops couldn't really follow. All the things collectors couldn't follow. Whiskey drinkers, Highland Park fans, couldn't follow. So when COVID kind of began, we and that was, again, we talked about Jason. It was kind of Jason that said, well, let's sit back for the next 2 weeks. Let's reflect on the last couple of years. what can we do different? And one of the things we decided not to do were special editions for a while. And it's not because we don't have the stock for it. It's just we thought we had to take care of our core range. We had to see if we could get that back on the right track, make people love the 10, 12, 18. But we also decided at that time we wanted to have a few additions to the core range to kind of make it complete. And one of the things were to bring back the 15. The way we discussed it, should it be the old one, or should we come up with something new? And then we knew from our experience in Sweden that cask strength whiskey would do very well. So we decided to do a new core range bottle with cask strength. Release number 1, 63.3, release number 2, 63.9. So they will all be different. And very soon here in a few months, release number 3 will come out, which will be very different from both 1 and 2. But again, around that strength, we do have a 50-year-old coming out for China. So kind of a different price area. And we would probably have
more than 50 quid.
Yeah, a bit more. And we will have something a wee bit older coming out end of this year as well. Also a little bit older single cask coming out. And then for the distillery and for our shop in Kirkwall, there will be some special editions.
I always remember the product, the Hjarta, which was a 12-year-old cask strength that we produced a long time ago. And it always really struck me that was the kind of real credibility builder for Highland Park. And every time I went back to Sweden, I was always amazed by just how much the Swedes knew about Highland Park. And one of my fondest memories was, Martin, you and I went up to Dalarna to SMAD for their, their 10th anniversary or the 15th
That was the
anniversary?
10th or 15th anniversary, I think.
Yeah. Björn Sodin and his crew, and we did a big Highland Park tasting, and we kind of did a double act, didn't we? And we did 19 Highland Parks. It had a half time this tasting and everything. It was unbelievable. And they bought all the whiskey.
But see, that's the thing. The Swedes, they really know about the whiskey, and you know, the amount of fairs they're doing. Just before COVID, I think one year we counted 28 whiskey fairs in Sweden, and you know, they're not small; they're quite big. Oh. You know, we have 37,000 people coming in for the Stockholm Beer and Whiskey Festival, which was just incredible. You've been on Cinderella with me as well, the biggest floating whiskey fair in the world, which is actually coming up in a month's time, and it's just crazy. And I remember we had colleagues back in Scotland that, you know, when they were told to go to Sweden, they said no, because they knew that the whiskey people in Sweden, their knowledge was so big, you know, they were so huge, and some of the questions people would ask was just phenomenal. I remember I was doing a masterclass. I think it was at the Stockholm Beer and Whiskey Show, and there was this guy. He was writing down each and every word I was saying. Sometimes he even stopped me. There were 75 people at the masterclass, and he now and again stopped me and said, "Can you repeat that?" And he wrote it down. And then, you know, when I was talking about production and we talked about fermentation, he said, "So how many washbacks do you have?" I said, "Well, we do have 12 washbacks made of wood." "Okay, and how many staves do you have in your washback?" And I said, "What?" "Well, yeah, how many staves is in your washback?"
That's Mitch's Whiskey News of the Week.
And the first one is the famous one. I don't know if you've tried this one yet, Martin, but it's a new release from the famous Grouse. And they've moved it into like a dumpy bottle, and it's very focused on kind of mixing and I guess bringing younger consumers into the kind of famous Grouse story and stuff. Have you had a chance to try that?
No, not yet.
No.
Unfortunately, I was hoping that I could have had a wee taste when I was back in Glasgow last week. But what I've heard from my colleagues, and especially the guys working on the grouse team, it's fantastic, and it's quite similar in some kind of ways to the naked grouse, and is mainly made, for the mixing, the cocktails and these kind of things.
Glengarry's back. Yeah, we saw that this reopened after a £6 million investment by Beam Suntory. So it's been interesting because they've had this closed for the last 2 years. So they've just kind of revealed what they've been doing there, and quite interesting in that they're bringing back the kind of old school production methods. And one of the things they're doing is like the floor maltings. Exactly. They've got direct fired stills with the mash tuns. So it's pretty cool to see that. I'm looking forward to going up and checking all that out for sure.
I look forward to trying some stuff from there again, and some of the new releases and things, especially if it's getting the focus and attention it deserves, And
then it wouldn't be the news without a new distillery, right? So we've always got. It seems like every single week we've got a new distillery that we have to talk about.
There's a new one every time.
So this is a kind of new old one. It was created in 2019, I believe, and it's the Sterling Distillery, which has been kind of off our radar, I think, Daz, because they've just been producing gin up until now. But they've said they are gonna now produce a whiskey, which is part of their new make Spirit. They've been doing independent bottles up until now, but this is going to be all their own liquid, but they're not going to produce this until I think it's going to be 2027, I believe, or 2025. Sorry, 2025 when it's going to come through. So yeah, a little another whiskey coming out of Sterling for the first time in 170 years, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah, but I think first of all, I would say it's very brave with all the new distilleries. Every time I hear about new distilleries being built, I think, oh my God, that's brave, because it takes some effort to go up against the distilleries that are there now, and to produce something that's not always already been produced, and make it different.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And especially, I think, with things like sustainability being so high on the radar, it's much easier to bring these technologies in to run a sustainable, environmentally friendly distillery than it is to renovate an old distillery and make it make it efficient, make it better for the environment at least. So no, it's definitely. And I think the last bit of news, I suppose, that it's quite cool actually. There's 4 bits of news we've picked out this week that we felt were most relevant, and 2 of them are relating to blends, which is cool. We often find most of the news is about single malts, new distilleries, new expressions and things like that, maybe people moving around, but it's good to see blends coming back onto the radar a bit more. I think we'll probably see a bit more of this, but Coach built a blended scotch that I know the guy at Claxton's have been involved with, but obviously Jensen Button, Formula One driver, really well-known guy who was particularly interested in the sort of blending sort of techniques and things like that. And George Koutsakis, who lives over in Taiwan, but Martin, you'll know George.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Travels. Yeah, nice guy, Scottish guy, Scottish Greek sort of family. I think he's from, I want to say it's Clydebank. I think George.
Yeah,
George
there's
from.
Something. Yeah, I'm not sure, but he's a great guy. Definitely,
yeah, loads of fun, ton of energy, and it's brilliant to see him getting this off the ground actually. And it's I keep in touch with him every now and then, and he'd given me a little bit of an insight into what he was up to, but I didn't actually see this one coming. So congratulations to the guys there. It looks brilliant. Can't wait to try it. Mitch will get a sample before any of us do. Classic.
I'm a big Formula One fan, so it was great to see like that crossover. Obviously, Jensen Button being ex-Formula One, and
you remember we did the David Coulthard bottles as well.
Of course you did.
We did two, and I had the chance to go down to Monaco to do a tasting for his whiskey club down there, and the Prince Albert showed up as well. So so we did it as well with David Coulthard, and he was up at Highland Park as well, tasting some of the casks that we were going to use for his 2 bottles. So
boys, that was a lot of fun. Martin, is this the best podcast you've been on today?
Definitely today, yeah. So, I took about 20 a day, but this was the best today. Yeah. No. Well, guys, it was absolutely amazing to see you guys again here, and hopefully when I'm back, let's catch up for a bite, a pint, and a dram. And until then, guys, stay safe, and thank you for having me here.
Pleasure, mate.
Absolutely.
So nice.
Cheers.
Nice to have a Highland Park with you again, my friend. Always.
Yeah, thanks, Martin. Thanks for being on the show, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for the next episode with our antics, because we're going to jump on a little bit of social media here for this next one. So we're going to pop some questions on Instagram. We've now got a Twitter handle as well, which Daz, it is
NA Whisky Podcast, which means, Mitch, not another whisky podcast.
Mate, you're a genius. I love what you've done there. Well done.
Do you know the problem? Do you know not another whisky podcast is too long for the name of a Twitter handle?
Of course.
Yeah, it's limited characters. Yeah.
There you go. That's an interesting fact. That's not going to get you any friends right there.
It's the first time anyone told you it's too long.
Our next episode, guys, we need you guys to get involved here, because it's going to be a 30 minutes with Daz and I. So normally we get a guest in, but we're just going to go solo and answer all your questions from social media. So pop us any questions that you want to know about, whether it's whiskey or our views or opinions or stories or anything that you've kind of got a question about, whether it's whiskey related or what color underpants Daz wears every day. We're going to be blasting that out over Instagram and Twitter over the next week or so. So stay tuned. Keep an eye out for all of that. Thank you for tuning in, guys, and may all your whiskeys shimmer like gold and your glasses remain full.